Hi guys, Miss Ashley again. I'm back for more information about holidays that are celebrated all over the world. Are you guys ready for another trip around the world? But before we go somewhere else, do you guys remember where we went last time? Do you remember a surfing Santa Claus, shrimp on the Barbie? That's right. We traveled to Australia and New Zealand. Do you guys have your passports in your suitcases with you? Because we're going to add a lot of information today. And I'm actually going to send you some new stamps to add because we're going to need some from this one today. And I'm also going to send you another set of these because we needed some extra ones to put on our suitcase. I will show you the map. The countries that I'm going to mention today are in orange. And I think when we're done today, you're going to learn so much that you're going to feel like you're on the Amazing Race TV show. Also, I'm going to take out my passport out of my suitcase. If you've got it handy, I'm going to show you as we go along where we can put the stamps. Are you guys ready to go? Now, I am going to tell you that today we are going to talk about some of the countries that celebrate Christmas, but we're also going to learn about some different holidays that are celebrated around the world, because a lot of the celebrations that we have are based on religious beliefs. And Christmas is usually celebrated by Christians, but the places that we're going to go to today, Christianity is not as popular there. So we're going to find out about a few more religions and some holidays that they celebrate. So today we're going to focus on the continent of Africa and a couple of countries in Africa because there's about 50 of them. So we're not going to cover all of them, but we're going to pick out a few of them. And we're also going to talk about several places in Asia. So I'll get this out a little bit later, but we're going to talk about, here is Africa. We're going to talk about some of the countries here. And then Asia covers a lot of space here. So Asia kind of covers a lot of here and then down towards Australia. So we're going to cover lots of different cool places. So we're going to actually start with one that isn't celebrated in Africa, but it's celebrated by people in the United States who have African heritage or descendants from Africa. And it's called Kwanzaa. So I'll show you a little cartoon of some children that might be dressed up for a celebration of Kwanzaa. And let me tell you a little bit more about it. Kwanzaa is an African American holiday celebrated in America. This holiday is to celebrate African American heritage and traditions. The celebration lasts 7 days. It begins on December 26th and goes until January 1st. Each of the 7 days focuses around one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Those 7 principles are unity, self-determination, collective work, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. Families each have a special candlestick called a kinara. And I'm going to show you one that I actually made. This is what a kinara might look like. It holds 7 candles. 3 of the candles are green, 3 of the candles are red, and 1 black candle in the middle. On each day of Kwanzaa, 1 of the candles are lit. The kinara is placed on a makika, a straw mat. 1 ear of corn is placed on the mat for each member of the family. Everyone also drinks out of a special unity cup that is also placed on the mat. Those that celebrate Kwanzaa decorate in red, green, and black. And on the 6th day, the families have a giant feast. And gifts known as zawadi are given on the 7th day of Kwanzaa. I'm going to show you a picture of kind of the setup of a Kwanzaa table with all of the things that I just mentioned. And a little bit more about Kwanzaa. It actually comes from the Swahili phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means the first fruit. So it's kind of like the celebration of the harvest, a little bit like Thanksgiving. and there's lots of different African countries that speak Swahili. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, you're probably going to include songs, dances, African drums, stories, poems, and a meal. So you've seen my Kinara. I can post this on with the video if you'd like to make one of these. But I thought instead we would make a Makika mat. So I've made half of mine just to show you what it's going to look like. And if you've ever weaved strips of paper back and forth, that is what we're going to do. So I will show you. This is what half of mine looks like already. And what I did is I just have a black piece of construction paper, and you're gonna fold it in half like this. And then you're gonna take scissors and you're gonna cut strips up to the top, but don't cut all the way through. So it's gonna look something like this. Then you're gonna open it back up. And then what I did was I took a piece of red construction paper and a piece of green, and I folded it in half, and then a half again, and then in half again. So you're gonna end up with something kind of like this, and I cut strips out. So I'm gonna try to hold this up and show you. I have some pictures of what it was looked like when I was doing it too. So you're gonna start at the bottom, and this one is underneath, so I'm gonna start over top, and you're gonna go over, under, and over and under, all the way up. So you're kind of going back and forth into the black paper. You go all the way up at the top. And there's a green one. So what I think I would do is I would go ahead and put all of my papers in there, and then I would probably just put some tape or some glue just so that wouldn't move anymore. If you want to, if you have maybe at your house, or maybe your teacher has a laminating machine, you can make the mat and then you can laminate it, and you can actually make it as a placemat and you can eat off of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and weave the rest of it just to show you what it looks like when it's finished. And then you can easily, with 3 pieces of construction paper and some scissors and tape or glue, you can make your own Makika Kwanzaa mat. All right, now mine is all finished. So I wanted to show you what it looks like when it is done. And there you go. So what I did was I just weaved it back and forth, and then when I was finished, I just kind of peeled the top back, and so I've glued right here, these 3, and then these 3, and then I just flipped it over, and then I glued down the green ones at the top and the bottom, so it's not gonna move. And there you go. That is the Kwanzaa Makika mat. So like I said, Kwanzaa is actually not really celebrated in Africa, but it is all about African culture and heritage. But there are lots of African countries that do celebrate Christmas. But I decided to pick Kenya and tell you a little bit about how they celebrate Christmas there. So, let's find out where Kenya is on the map. Let's see, we're in Africa, and it is this yellow one right by the equator. So a lot of the different places in Africa for Christmas, Christmas is going to be very hot, kind of like Australia. So Christmas in Kenya. They like to spend time with their families, and Santa doesn't come with reindeer. He might come by a Land Rover or on a bike or even riding on a camel. Celebrations for them start on Christmas Eve with caroling. They go from house to house, and they're given money or gifts that they bring as an offering to the church the next day. They decorate their roofs with flowers. They don't usually have a Christmas tree, but if they do, they decorate it with paper bead garlands, straw figures, and wire stars. I thought this was a very interesting fact. I found out that spitting on gifts in Kenya shows respect and good luck to the person getting the gift. I don't think I want anybody spitting on my gifts, especially in 2020. So that is Christmas in Kenya. So if you want to, if you have your passport, you can open it up, and you probably already have a page for Australia and New Zealand. And then one of your stamps says Africa. And then I put the country we traveled to today was Kenya. So you can write about Kwanzaa if you want, or you can write about some of the things that I talked about in Kenya. Now we're going to leave Africa for a little while, and we're going to go to one of the Asian countries, and it is Israel. And we're also going to talk about the one right next to it, that's Palestine. So in Israel, the main religion there is going to be Jewish. So they celebrate something called Hanukkah. I'm sure you've probably heard about Hanukkah before. Maybe you even know someone that celebrates Hanukkah. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Hanukkah. But first, let's find out where Israel is on the map. Okay, so it's very hard to see because it's so small. So this is the top of Africa here, and this is kind of the Middle Eastern countries. But if you look really, really close, I don't even know if you can see this. You may have to look at a map yourself, but it is right there along the water. It's right by my finger. And I have actually been to Israel on a cruise ship. So let me tell you more about Hanukkah. So here is two children that are celebrating Hanukkah. Hanukkah is a Jewish holiday that is celebrated for 8 days and nights. In Hebrew, Hanukkah means dedication. It is a holiday where families light one candle each night for 8 nights. It is also called the Festival of Lights. A lot of the holidays we're going to talk about today deal with lights because remember, in Kwanzaa they had 7 nights and they light candles. In Hanukkah they have 8 nights and they also light candles. Some food during Hanukkah, Jewish families eat food that is fried in oil. They eat potato pancakes called latkes, sweet jelly-filled donuts, and other fried foods. They eat fried foods to celebrate the sacred oil that burned for 8 days. The oil was only supposed to burn for 1 day, but they were surprised because it kept the temple lit for 8 days. This year, Hanukkah is celebrated from December the 10th to December the 18th. So we're actually in Hanukkah right now. So if you know anybody that celebrates Hanukkah, you'll have to make sure to tell them Happy Hanukkah. Instead of hearing more about Hanukkah from me, I thought I would let you hear from someone who celebrates Hanukkah, and that is actually somebody in my family. Her name is Emma. She's my cousin. She lives in Canada, and she celebrates both Hanukkah and Christmas. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about it. Take it away, Emma.
Hi, my name is Emma. Now, I know people celebrate Christmas, but I celebrate Chrismukkah, which, if you don't know what that is, it's Hanukkah and Christmas, because my dad celebrates Christmas, and my mom celebrates Hanukkah, and I get to celebrate both, which I'm really lucky. So, today I thought I would share some of the things that I use or do on Hanukkah. Let's talk about Hanukkah. So on Hanukkah, that's the Festival of Lights, and I light the menorah every single night. I say the little prayers, Bra, Toy, Illinois, so on and so forth. I open gifts, and it's really fun. It's 8 nights, because a while ago when there was a group called Maccabees, and there was oil, and the oil they thought would only last 1 night, but it lasted 8 very, very crazy nights. And let's talk about a dreidel. Now this is a dreidel, super simple. So it just has different signs, and I'll tell you what they mean. So this is nun, this is shin, this is hey, and this is gimel. Oh, gimel, sorry. So you play a dreidel with a gelt, which is basically chocolate or money, depending on how you're playing. So nun means you get nothing. Shin, I believe shin means you get some. Hey means you put some back, and gimel means you get a lot. That's basically how it normally works. When I play with my family, since most of the time we don't have a gelt in our house, here's how me and my little brother play. So nun means you get a slap in the booty, or anywhere really. Gimel means you get a kiss. Hey means you get to go hey. And shin means you get a high five. So that's fun and interesting. Another tradition in our household is that any time during the 8 nights of Hanukkah, I go to my Babi's house, which is a Jewish grandmother, and my Zadie's house, which is a Jewish grandfather. And we light the menorah together, we open gifts, and we have this big dinner with latkes, which are potato fried pancakes. We have all this crazy food, and it's so good. Thank you, and now, bye.
Thanks, Emma. That was great. All right, so Emma showed you her dreidel and how her and her brother Nate play for Hanukkah. So I am going to send this to you as a link on the video, and it's going to be a dreidel that you can actually make yourself. So I would suggest, if you can, to print this on thicker paper like cardstock. So here is one that I've cut out just to show you, and it has all these little tabs. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut all around it, and then you're going to fold in all of these little tabs that are sticking out. And then what you're going to do is you actually need a pencil for this one. So inside the star, there's a hole. So we're going to put our pencil inside, and it's going to help form the dreidel. So you're going to end up kind of folding out all the sides. And it's going to start looking like this, but I need to add some glue. So let me take the pencil out. I'm going to add some glue to my tabs, and then I will show you what it ends up looking like. That was a bit tricky. I feel like my fingers are all sticky, covered in glue. But once you get your dreidel, it looks like this, and hopefully, if it's dry and the glue sticks, it'll actually spin and you can actually play the game of dreidel. Just make sure it's dry and make sure everything is folded pretty good, and if it doesn't stick with the glue, you can just add some tape. But if you want to, you can play dreidel like Emma suggested, or you can get some pennies or some gelt, the chocolate coins, and you can play dreidel. And something that they sing about for Hanukkah is the dreidel song. So I'm gonna sing a little bit of the dreidel song. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, the dreidel I shall play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, the dreidel I shall play. So if you want to make one, I'll send this link to you, and when yours is dry, you can play as well. Let's talk about Christmas in Israel and the one right next door, which is Palestine. So like I said, most people are Jewish, so they do not celebrate Christmas, but there are some Christians and even Muslims that live there. So there are still people who celebrate Christmas. They like to eat dishes of chicken and rice, grape leaves, and there's a dish with chicken, onions, and bread that they like. In Palestine is actually Bethlehem, where the very first Christmas was, where baby Jesus was born. So children in Bethlehem like to dress up like Santa, or they march and play music in a parade that ends at the Church of the Nativity. And I'm going to show you some pictures. I've actually been to the Church of the Nativity, and you can actually see the place where baby Jesus was born. And one of the things that I collect and share and display at Christmas time are nativity scenes. So here is my one from, let's see if you can see, there you go. This is made from olive wood from Bethlehem, and it's got Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. So I'll place that here underneath my tree. And I actually have some from all over the world, but that one is from Bethlehem. And then I'll show you a couple of pictures that I have from there. Is they have a beautiful stained glass window that is in the church where they have the celebration for Christmas. All right, let's travel to another country. We're gonna stay in Asia, but this time we're going to go to India. We went from Africa, then we've taken a trip to the small country of Israel, and now we're going to go over here to this purple one, which is India. And they celebrate a different holiday there, and it's called Diwali. So here's a picture of a little girl and boy cartoon that are in their traditional outfits that they might wear for Diwali. and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So, we learned about the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah that's celebrated in Israel. This one is the Hindu holiday of Diwali. It is the Hindu festival of lights. It is a joyous New Year's celebration. It's celebrated in India with diyas and fireworks. Diyas are kind of like lanterns or little, it almost looks like a bowl with a candle in it. Homes are decorated with hundreds of the tiny lamps to welcome Lakshmi, the Hindu goddess of good fortune. It lasts for 5 days, and this year it went from November the 12th through November the 16th. And to decorate their homes, they use flowers and rangoli, which is kind of sand art, and beautiful colors are used to decorate their house. And they eat things like laddu and barfi, and those are sweet treats that they eat. So I'm going to show you some of the pictures that I found on the internet of the beautiful sand art of the rangoli and the diyas, the lanterns, and some of the food that they eat. So for them, it's a 5-day celebration, and the third day is their main day of celebration. The fourth day is the celebration of their new year, and that's when they get their gifts. And to say Happy New Year in Hindi is Sal Mubarak. So this year for New Year's, you could tell someone Sal Mubarak. There are also people that live in India that celebrate Christmas. So for Christmas, they decorate banana or mango trees, not Christmas trees that we're used to. They like to use paper star decorations. I'll show you a picture of what one might look like, or a couple might look like. They put lamps on their flat roofs to show that they celebrate Christmas. Families get together and they light firecrackers. Santa will come and visit, and gifts are given to the children. Food that they like to eat is duck, chicken, beef, pork, and rice dishes, and a Christmas cake that kind of looks like a wreath fruit cake. And I thought this was kind of interesting. In India, if you're giving a gift, you want to use your right hand to give the gift to someone. You never your left hand, because they feel like the left hand is unclean. So if you're in India or you meet someone from India, don't give them something with your left hand. Also, if you're going to give a gift of money, it has to be an odd number because they think that's good luck. So if maybe your grandmother was giving you $50, it would have to be 51. So that is how Christmas is celebrated in India. Now we're going to go to China, and we're also going to talk a little bit about Vietnam. So let me get my map. I told you we're going to do lots of traveling today. All right, so China is quite large. It is this orange yellow one, so all of this is China. And then let me see, right here, this green one is Vietnam. A lot of the things that they do in China are actually similar to Vietnam, so we're going to kind of combine Vietnam and China together. So in China, the big holiday for them is called Chinese New Year. So this year in 2020, it was celebrated in January, on January 25th, because they use a different calendar than we do. It's called the lunar calendar. So this next year, 2021, it will be celebrated on February the 12th. It's a New Year's celebration of good luck and happiness. Each year, they celebrate with a different animal. This year, 2020, is the year of the rat. And then next year, it's going to be the year of the ox. They celebrate with parades, lanterns, people dress up in dragon costumes, they have fireworks, and children receive money inside a red envelope. And here's a picture of what one might look like. This is a craft that you can make if you want. Food that's eaten is might be rice cake, dim sum, and pork belly. What I thought we would do is actually make a paper lantern for Chinese New Year. So it's very similar to the Makika mat that we made for Kwanzaa. But what you're going to do is you're going to get a red piece of paper this time, because red and gold are big color, and yellow for Chinese New Year. So we're going to get the red piece of paper and we're going to fold it in half again. And then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to make the strips all the way up to the top, but not all the way through. I tried to do a few more than I did on the mat that we made. And then what you're going to do is, after you're finished, you're going to unfold it. And then you're going to start to fold it the other direction. But then you'll notice it kind of does something in the middle where it was folded. So it starts to stick out. And then all you have to do, very simple, you're just going to get a stapler and you're going to staple it at the top. Hold it together. And so I'm going to put one at the bottom. And then you can decorate this with jewels or you can color it. But what I'm going to do is, like I said, this kind of reminds me of firecrackers, because they use firecrackers in the for the holiday. And so I'm going to go back in and I'm going to staple this again. Okay, so then I just stapled it on the other side. Gonna have to get creative so your pipe cleaner doesn't fall out. I'm just gonna bend them back so it doesn't go right through the staple. And there is my Chinese lantern for Chinese New Year. Now I actually have a friend that lives in China and she celebrates Chinese New Year, and she sent me some pictures to share with you. I'm going to show you those and tell you a little bit about what you said about her pictures. So she told me that the decorations that you saw, actually one of them was on a cruise ship, that because she was there for Christmas and Chinese New Year, she was celebrating on the cruise ship. So she put the red on both sides of the door, and then people come and write their wishes on it for the new year. She said that Fu means happiness in Mandarin. It's seen everywhere for Chinese New Year, so I'm thinking that's what it said on the fan that she's holding. It's usually posted upside down on the wall because it's said the same as the word arrive in Mandarin. So it's like saying happiness has arrived. There's a big family meal. It's a big deal for them to have all their family get together. And they have meat and fish for their meal. So that is for Chinese New Year. But there are people that celebrate Christmas in China as well. So actually, it's only been recently that they celebrated Christmas, because for years, Christmas was actually banned in China, and still caroling is not allowed. So don't try to go Christmas caroling in China. It's mostly a holiday for time for shopping and hanging out with friends, less about a time to get together with family. Santa is usually seen in the malls with a bunch of girls that they say are his sisters instead of being with elves. And usually Santa decorations are seen with him playing a saxophone. And I actually have a picture. This one's from Vietnam of him playing the saxophone. They decorate with lanterns, flowers, and red paper chains. They like to give out Christmas apples, and they wrap it in red cellophane, because Christmas Eve and apple in Mandarin sound like the same word. And here's a picture of one that they might give. Stockings are filled by Santa, which they call either Dun Chi Lao Ren, which it means Christmas old man, or Len Kung Kung, which is nice old father. And here's a picture of people in China dressed up as Santa Claus. Okay, next up, we're going to go to Japan. It's close to China, and it is this purple one that's out in the ocean. Close to China, it is Japan. And the people that celebrate Christmas in Japan might say, Merry Kirasamasu. That's how they say Merry Christmas in Japanese. It is also not really a family holiday, kind of like in China. It's mostly for friends, couples, or co-workers to get together and have parties. Karaoke is very popular there at Christmas, and really all the time. Trees are decorated with toys, dolls, fans, lanterns, wind chimes, and candles. Santa is called Santa-san, which means Mr. Santa. Here is a picture of someone dressed up like Santa Claus. But there's also something in Japan called Hotiosho, is a Japanese god of good fortune that brings gifts. But it's said that he watches children with eyes in the back of his head. I'm sure some of you think your teachers have eyes in the back of their head. But that keeps the children on their best behavior. One of the most interesting things I found out about Japan was that the most popular thing for Christmas dinner is actually KFC. That's right, I said Kentucky Fried Chicken. How many of you are big fans of KFC? They have to reserve the meal 2 months in advance. Otherwise, they're going to end up staying in a long line of about 2 hours to get their KFC Christmas meal. They also like to eat strawberry sponge cake for dessert. And I'm going to put a link on this video of a commercial of KFC commercial in Japanese, which is quite interesting to see. So that's how they celebrate Christmas in Japan. So we're going to go to another country, and this is Thailand. That's coming up next. Let's see. I'll show you two while we're here. So Thailand is going to be underneath China. It is this one right here that goes kind of down to a tail. And then while I'm here, I'll show you, we're also going to talk about the Philippines, which are these islands right over here. Again, not everyone celebrates Christmas there. It's most popular in big cities and touristy areas. Gifts are usually thoughtful, but they try to make them inexpensive so they don't make anybody uncomfortable. I found it interesting that it is rude to rip the wrapping paper. So I know lots of you on Christmas morning probably rip everything open, but it is very rude to do that in Thailand. You have to remove it and set it aside, probably to use it again later. The number 3 is very lucky there, so you might get gifts in sets of 3. It's not a bad idea. I think you'll like this. In Ayutthaya, in Thailand, elephants are dressed in Santa costumes, and they deliver presents to children using their trunks. That would be cool to see. So I showed you where Philippines are on the map. Christmas is very popular in the Philippines, and they like to celebrate it for a very long time. Sometimes you even hear Christmas music starting in September. But typical celebrations usually start around December 16th. They attend a lot of Christmas masses or church services throughout the Christmas season. The most popular Christmas decoration there is called a parol, which is a star, and it's made from bamboo, colored paper, or cellophane. And here's a picture of what they look like. Christmas Eve is very important to Filipinos. It's called Noche Buena, and they have a midnight feast after church, and sometimes they even stay up all night long. So here's a picture of some of the food that they might eat. They usually eat roasted pig, ham, fruit salads, rice cakes, and sweets. So that's what they do in the Philippines. So before we finish up, I'm going to show you a couple of other ones. We're going to actually go back to Africa now. And we're going to go to Egypt. And Egypt is this yellow one right here. In Egypt, they also use a different calendar, so they don't celebrate Christmas on December 25th. They celebrate it on January 7th. For 43 days before Christmas, they are vegan, so they don't eat any meat products. And then on Christmas Day, they have a big feast and eat some of the things that they weren't allowed to eat before. Presentation of their gifts are very important. They must be wrapped twice. once in plain paper and then once in colored paper. And it said that men can't give women presents without being inappropriate. They have to say that it's from their wife or their mother or their sister. They like to use glass ornaments, and I have a picture of one that you might find in Egypt. They like to eat lamb stew for their meal, and they also leave cake, which are sweet biscuits, for Santa, which they call Baba Noel. All right, I wanted to tell you something that I found interesting. There's actually an island called Christmas Island, and I didn't find anything out about if they celebrate Christmas, but I thought it was interesting to tell you that it was founded, and somebody came and said, I claim this land, and it was on Christmas Day, so they called it Christmas Island. It's actually part of Australia, but I'll show you where it is. It's super tiny, so let's find Australia. Okay, so this is Australia, and then if you go up towards Indonesia, let's see, right by my finger is Christmas Island. So you'll have to see if you can find that on a map. So I just have a few more that are on my little fact cards here. So Christmas in Ethiopia, that is one of the African countries. Just like Egypt, they celebrate on January 7th. Let me see if I can show you. Okay, so we talked about Egypt. It's up here. Then we've got Kenya, and then right above Kenya is Ethiopia. Christmas in Ethiopia is called Yigana Bal, which means birth of Christ. In Syria, people light a huge bonfire after the youngest child reads the Christmas story aloud. Syria is close to Israel, above Israel on the map. The only country in the Middle East where Christmas is an official holiday is in Lebanon, which is kind of, so there's Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and then Syria on the map. It doesn't mean that those countries don't celebrate Christmas. It just means that that's not an official holiday other than in Lebanon. So, whew, we did it. That was a lot, I know. But we've come to the end of this video. And again, don't forget to use some of your stamps. We've got Africa, Israel, Egypt, China, Japan, Thailand. You can add some more of the ones that we talked about. The ones that I put in your passport are Africa. I'll have to add India too. Israel, Thailand, China, and Japan. And there's the stamp for Egypt. And now let's take a look at the map. Okay, so all of the ones that I colored in orange are ones that we talked about today. So let me see if I can show you. Might help if you get a bigger map, but we've got, let's see. This one is Japan. This big one is China. We've got Philippines out here. We have Vietnam and Thailand. And then we've got India over here. Then, let's see. In here, we've got Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Palestine. We've got Egypt, Kenya, and Ethiopia. And then I'm going to show you some ornaments from this place right here, the UAE. And then I put a little dot right there. There's Christmas Island. So I think I've covered everything there. Hopefully you'll be able to color those in or get a map to help you with that. All right, now I'm going to show you some of my ornaments from Asia. I do not have any African ornaments, but let me show you what I have. So I did not talk about this country. Christmas is not that popular there. There are some people that celebrate it. So it's called the United Arab Emirates, and it's known as the UAE. So here is a camel on a bell. I actually have a couple of them, but I'm only going to put one on the tree probably. I have a star with a camel. And then I have this purple one. It's a star. It also kind of reminds me of some of the stars maybe you'd see in India or in the Philippines. So I'll put that one on my tree. So here's the camel bell. This one has a long string, so let's see, I'll put it at the top maybe. Next one I'm going to show you is from Thailand. So it looks like this. It's a fish. This is also from Thailand. It's a fish that's all kind of like hand woven. So maybe I can put it up here. There we go. And my last little ornament is a little cat, and it's from Japan. There's some Japanese writing on it. And we'll put that one maybe right here. And even my hat that I've been wearing is from, I bought this one in Hong Kong when I was there during the Christmas season. I've got my nativity scene from Bethlehem underneath the tree. So the tree's getting pretty full, but stay tuned because I have 2 more videos. And the next one, we're going to travel to Europe and find out how they celebrate Christmas in European countries. So thanks for coming and hanging out with me and traveling the world. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.